So in this section, we will be talking about pivot tables and pivot charts, and we will also discuss about the slicers and the timelines that is associated with pivot. This is a hypothetical data that we have. Okay, so we have got order ID, product, categories, amount, and then we have the date of sale, and then in sale in which particular country. So this is basically what we see. We are seeing this data is in the form of range. Okay, there are two ways to create the pivot table. You can select on the entire range. Okay, and go to insert and then insert the pivot table. Other way to do the same is to convert the data into a table. Okay, and the function for that is control T. Okay, we have got the option as my table as header. Okay, we have got the header and then click OK. The advantage of creating converting it into a table is that we can do a numbers of different calculation. That is easy, and while we keep on moving, the header is there on the top. Okay, so you can see order ID, product, category, amount, data, and date and country. That is reflecting that is the header. Okay, that is the advantage of converting the data into a table. Okay, and also when we do some calculation, let's do just a normal calculation into 2. It will automatically do the calculation. So this is the way. So let's convert, go into table design. Okay, in table design we can we got the summarize with pivot. Okay, and create a pivot table for that. So we can go for this is the environment of your pivot. Okay, so we have got field setting. This is to show. So whatever you are seeing, this can be hidden from here. Okay, and shown from here. Okay. So many times what we do is just cross that. In case it is not visible, we can just click on that and we'll get the information. And then we will be talking about this active field. Okay, we'll talking about the slicer and timeline a little later. Then this particular pivot is connected to this data sheet. Okay, so if any changes we are making, we can ask the refresh the data. Okay, and then when we refresh the data, the pivot table will check with the sheet and then change the data accordingly, or we can change the data sources here. So let's start with our first pivot. Let's put it into category. So there we have got rows, column, okay, and then filter and then values. Okay, so values are basically whatever the aggregation you are going to do. Okay, so that will come into the values. So we have got categories. Let's put products here to make it more larger, and then put amount in values. So amount is basically on which aggregation will be done. By default the aggregation for pivot is sum. Okay, you can change the aggregation way in go to field setting, and we can change it from sum to count to average, max, mean, product, count numbers. Okay, this is called distinct count also. Then we have standard deviation of the population, variation, and variation of the population. Okay. This is way and then we can change the number fonts. Okay, and change into number, and then we can have the decimal factors and so on. Okay, the way we want to display it. Let it by default, let it be for the sum. Okay, now this information that we are seeing here is the summary of all the data that is available with in this data sheet. Okay, so in this data sheet we have got apple, and then we have got the sum of the amount. So this sum of amount, wherever the apple is available in this data set, it is calculating all the apple and then calculating the sum of the amount of that particular. Now this thing is basically known as one-dimensional pivot table. So in the pivot table, the data are arranged in the rows in the alphabetical order. So you can see apple, banana, beans, broccoli, then we have carrots, mango, and oranges. These are arranged on an alphabetical order. But if I want that the data to be arranged in the according to this ascending or descending order of the amount of sum of the amount. So we can do this, drag on right click on the filter. So by default, it is saying that it is arranged on A to J or Z to A, and we can go for the more sort option. Okay. Other way is that you can right click on the cell. Okay, and then we can go here and see the sort option. Okay, either way you can go for sorting, getting the sort point. Okay, the lighter way is to get from the detail here. Okay, so we want that data to be arranged in ascending order A to Z on the sum of the product, and then click OK. So we have got sale of the mango, that is the minimum, and then banana sale is on the maximum side. This is how we can sort the data. Now this is the information related to different categories. Okay. So we can drag the countries into the filter option. Okay, so it will create a filter option here, and we can select multiple. Okay. So what actually this filter helps us to identify the sale of a particular country. Okay, so for example, we want the sale of Australia. Okay. Or we want to see the sale of France. Okay. And always remember that it will be keep on updating on the basis of some of the amount. So this is basically also a one dimensional pivot table. Okay. You can also change the aggregation, the way the aggregation is happening. Okay, so aggregation can be changed from three places in case of pivot table. One is that you can click or right click on there, and then you can go for the value field setting. Okay, this is one option. Other option is that you can click on the down arrow and go for value field setting, or you can go on the this position that is called field setting. Okay. Either way you can go, change the field setting. So whatever the field setting, say for example, as if now we have got this field setting as sum. Okay. So the active field is working on the sum of the amount. Okay, if I change it into count, it will be changing into count of amount. Okay, so you can whatever the active field is there, it will be by default displayed here. Okay, you can also change the name of the change the name if you want to go, but ideally it is usually suggested to leave this active field name as whatever it is by default. Okay, because it will be easy for us to remember the calculation. Okay. Then we have this we can just put the let's move the country to column. Now this is basically what is happening is that we have put the country into rows and column product into the column. Now this is two-dimensional pivot table. We have got one dimension as country, and the second dimension is we have got as the product category. Now let's put that country aside, and let's put the product in the rows and sum of them. Now what is happening here, that we know that mango, oranges, then we have apple and banana. This actually four are basically the part of the category that is fruits, and beans, carrots and broccoli is basically the part of the category that is the vegetables. Okay, although we have that information, but for purpose of understanding how the grouping is taking place, or we can make the group, we will currently ignore that we have got the category. Okay, so what we can do is to that we have this information. So let's clear the sorting, more option, and let's select on the manual basis. So what we can do is just rearrange our requirement. Okay, so we have got mangoes, beans. So let's put the apple below the mango, and let's put mango again on towards on the top. Okay, then we have got oranges, and that we can again move toward above that. Okay, so we have got beans, broccoli, and carrots, that is in the lower part, and then we have got bananas, oranges. So we can select all these four. Okay, right click on that and create a group. Okay, by default this will we can it will be group name, and the other will be groups will be single groups created. Okay. So we can make it as group fruits. Okay, and then select all the three, right click on that and select group, and rename this group as group vegetables. This is what we do is grouping of this data. Okay. Now, grouping of this data helps us to identify the sale of particular group. So if you are working with the sales organization, you can put the sale group all the sales persons into a particular sales manager. Okay, this is the very good function that we can do, and this is arranged on a hierarchy. Okay, so all this are under the vegetables, and these all are under the fruits. So when this thing is happening, we created a different field. Okay, so we have created a field that is product 2. Okay. Although we were having one field that is product earlier, and one more field that is called product 2 has been created here. Okay. So let us if now remove the product here. Okay, and let's work on the date. Okay. So when we are working with date, it is already creating a group here. Okay, that the month has been created a group, and that is the dates are there in the month. Okay. So we have got months, and then under that we have got dates. Okay. We can further group this data. Right click on that and then group this data on quarters. Okay. So when we have got quarters, we have got this quarter as quarter 1, quarter 2, okay, quarter 3, and quarter 4. We can again group this into the year, but as if now it is not required because the data has contents from data details related from January 1st to 31st of December. So we do not require to go for the year because that is the data only for 1 year. Okay, if it is for multiple year, you can use this for identification. So this is how the data are arranged in a hierarchy. Okay, so the hierarchy is basically quarter, then months, and then date. Okay. This is the grouping of the dates if you are working with the dates. So we have the different rows, that is apple categories, apple, beans, broccoli, carrot, mango, and oranges, and the different sale. Okay. So we can just make a copy of the same, okay, of the sum of amounts. So we have got two sum of amounts here. One sum of amount, that is the, and then second sum of amount. The intention why to create is that we want to change the field setting of them. So you can right click on that and go to value field setting. Okay, so value as. Okay, so we want to change the way the data has been represented, and we want to show for the percentage of grand total. Okay, now this is the value, that is the grand total. So what is the percentage of the grand total that is there for the product? So Apple sale is around 18.57% of the total sale. Banana sale is 33.05% of the total sale, and so on. Okay, the total will be 100%. This is the way the sale is there. Okay, let's add again one amount here. Now let's go to field setting again, and so values as, and we want the calculation on the rank of the sale. Okay, so largest on the product category. Now this is the maximum sale is coming for banana and the minimum sale that is coming for the mangoes. Okay, so we can do n numbers of different calculation inside the pivot table itself. So let's again restart with our old data. Okay, and then we want to see the product we have got here. Okay, let's move the product to the column and put the country into the rows. So this information that we are getting is for Australia. The apple sale is this. Australia, the bean sales, banana sales is this, and bean sales is that. Okay. So this information that we are getting in the form of the summarization of the data, this is called as the two-dimensional data. Okay. Then we can go for the further information. Okay, insert into a category, and this is called multi-dimensional pivot table. Let's work on that, and then we can enter the categories. Say for example, we want to see the categories in the filter. So we by default we have got uh, multiple. So we have got fruits and vegetable. So let's see what is the sale of the vegetable. So we have got vegetable categorized under beans, broccolis and carrot categorized under vegetables, and then we have got the different rows or the country that is there. Okay, so this is the views of the filter option we can use for that. So once we come to filter, let's explore the function of your slicer. So in analyze, we have got insert slicer. Okay, when we click insert slicer, okay, slicer is the way of putting the filter. So what is happening here that we have the our summary as is showing a top on the category. So we do not want to show that. Okay, we just want our data to be as crisp and clear, and no other information should be available there. To make our pivot table much better, we insert the slicer, and during when we insert the slicer is asked where do you want to insert the slicer, on which particular field data field type. Okay. So let's select as category that we want for the categories. So for categories we have got two categories, that is fruits and vegetable, and then we can just select on the fruits or vegetable we will get the detail, and this option is basically to multi-select, so we can select both of them. Okay. And this is for clear the filter. Now this is we can add multiple slicers here. Okay, and then keep on adding the number of filters, so we can have the number of filters, or depending upon the different field types that you have, you can create n numbers of different slicer. Okay. So when you click on the slicer, we have got the slicer ribbon here. Okay, you can change the way the slicer looks like. Okay, you can go for the dark or the lighter version, or you can design the entire slicer style. Okay, we have got one column here, you can make it for two column. Okay. And accordingly you can redesign your slicer according to your requirement and your the way you want to show the data. Okay, and when we are working on the slicer, okay, we have got here as insert timeline. Okay, now timeline works on the date function. Okay, so when we are selecting the slicer, okay, so if we are inserting the slicer, there also the date is coming, but when we are working on the timeline, it only the date option will be there. Okay, by default the date option will be selecting or working on the month basis. Okay, you can arrange this date according to our requirement. Okay. And then we can select the different months and see the sale. So delete this. And there is some connection related issues. So it has made a two copies, so that is why it is showing some error. So this is the way how the slicer is inserted. This is the way to represent this data. And once we are done with the slicers, okay, uh, pivot also gives us the option to insert the different charts. Okay, so we can go into pivot analyze, okay, and in the field setting you can go for pivot chart. Okay, so all the charts that is available in normal. Okay, if you want to see the kind of charts we have, that we have got the chart in the options. So we can just have this work on this data and recommended charts. So we can have the different kinds of available with the charts. Okay, similar in thing we can do with the pivot itself. Okay, so in case of pivot, we can go to pivot analyze and then we can go for the pivot chart. Now this chart will be linked to the pivot table. Okay. So we can have the column chart or the pie chart. Okay, so we can have just the pie chart on the different categories. So the filter is created here. We can select the filters. Okay, so sale of the Canada, and we are working on the sum of amount. Since working only on the two would not be a great idea, we can select Canada and France and then see the share of the Canada and France. Okay. So this is all about pivot table. The more you practice, the more you get exposed to different functions in the pivot table. Okay, and then let's work on the calculations. So let's understand how to do some calculations inside the pivot table. Okay, so we have got the countries and the sum of the amount. So this is the total sum of amount. Now what we want here is to have a say taxation related issues. Okay. So here we see that two parts, that is calculated field and calculated item. Okay, so let's insert a calculated field and let's name that as tax. And let the lights the formula. Say for example, if amount is greater than greater than 1 lakh, then 3% of the amount, or else just 0. Click on add. Okay, 3%. So we got the tax here. Okay, depending upon the whatever information we have or condition we have given for calculation of the tax. We can also edit that field. Okay, so we can go and see the field setting and we can edit that. Okay, and the field setting, the information that is available there. This is how the calculation can be done. So depending upon the type of calculation you want to do, you can go for there.